Alright, well, it's time to talk about one of my favorite video games of all time.
Resident Evil 2.
It was one of the games I grew up on and was a big part of my childhood. It debuted in 1998 for PlayStation and Nintendo 64, and was the follow-up to the amazing Resident Evil game from 1996 by Capcom. Anyway, so in Part 2, you can choose either Leon or Claire. Leon is a rookie cop with his first day on the job being a glorious night in Raccoon City. And Claire is the sister of Chris from the first game, coming to the city to track him down. There are two scenarios. Much like Part 1, the game differs depending on who you play as, but some parts are the same. The canon storyline is Claire A, Leon B, but I always played it in reverse because I like Leon a little bit more. In Claire A, she heads to the RPD and meets Marvin, a cop who's in the midst of turning into a zombie after being bitten. He gives her a keycard to unlock the doors in the main hall. After this, you discover your first BOW, the Licker. This is an iconic scene. After that, you make your way through the labyrinth of the station, finding keys to unlock doors, then going through those doors to find more keys. The first game had a medieval theme to its keys, whereas this one has card suits. There's the spade, diamond, heart, and club key. Some of them you only use once or twice. After a brutal helicopter crash, Claire finds Sherry in the office of the police chief, and they band together to escape. As they find a hidden passage in the chief's office with 3 colored blocks you collect, he appears and causes some fuckery. Apparently he's into some weird shit like taxidermy on people. Anyway, so he corners them in the basement, and we find out that he's working with Umbrella to help cover up their involvement with the outbreak. Suddenly he gets attacked by a huge creature and a thing bursts out of his chest, alien style. They make it to the sewer where Claire has to fight a mutated guy with an eyeball arm. Then, after more giant spiders and Sherry getting infected by the creature, they arrive at the Nest, which is an Umbrella facility deep beneath the city. Claire meets Annette, Sherry's mother, and tells her that the creature they encountered was Sherry's father, William Birkin, and that after Umbrella tried to steal the G-Virus from him, he injected it into himself, mutating into the creature. He then chased the team who assassinated him through the sewer, and rats fed on the T-Virus, which caused the outbreak in the city. You then must create a vaccine for Sherry. I mean, personally I would have just left her ass, but... No, I'm just kidding, Sherry. So after Annette dies and the facility's self-destruct system is activated, they head to the train, and are confronted by William Birkin yet again, this time mutating into another form. You gotta put him down to escape, and the grenade launcher is your best bet. It's one of Claire's main weapons. You then board the train in GTFO. So in Leon B, Leon meets up with Marvin too, and it's basically the same, until you go upstairs and are cut off by Mr. X, a new version of the Tyrant from the previous game. In Leon's scenario, you look for chest plugs instead of blocks, and you don't interact with irons at all. Instead, you head to the basement and meet Ada Wong, who says she's looking for a porter named Ben. You find Ben and he tells you how to get out of the RPD. Then he dies the same way as Irons did. With all the plugs, you make it into the sewer, but not before fighting an adult version of the thing that came out of Ben's chest. After making it through the sewer, you fight a giant gator and are reunited with Ada. Then, you collect 2 medals, an eagle and wolf medal, from the corpses of the fallen soldiers that Birkin killed, and you proceed to the Nest. This plays out similar to Claire's run, except Ada is incapacitated instead of Sherry. But at least you don't need to get her a vaccine. Fuck 'em. You find Annette's dead body, which isn't anywhere near where it was in Claire's story, and you pick up a vial of G-Virus off of her. You then fight Mr. X one final time, knocking him into a vat of molten metal, and then Ada turns on you and tries to get the virus. But then she falls to her death. Kinda. On the way out, you have to connect power back to the train to leave. But before you do, old Mr. X returns as a super tyrant, and you have to kill him again. This time, he moves more like the tyrant from the first game, and you'll need to
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
A mysterious figure who is clearly Ada drops you a rocket launcher to blow him up, because the ending is basically shot-for-shot Resident Evil 1's ending. Leon escapes the Nest on the train with Claire and Sherry as the place blows up, and then you are greeted by Birkin for a final time. I've been saying final time a lot, haven't I? This time, though, he mutated into a blob with tentacles and eyeballs. So just use the rocket launcher here about 3 times and he'll die. For good, I think. They escape into the daylight of a brand new day and vow to take down Umbrella for good. But isn't this where the nuke hits? Oops, was I not supposed to say that yet? Spoiler alert, guys. That happens in the next one. Well, that was Resident Evil 2, the original, not the remake. And it ties closely into Resident Evil 3. And they happen almost simultaneously, so I'll cover that one next time. Thanks for watching. Today on Console Classics, I want to talk about the third installment of Resident Evil. Resident Evil 3 debuted in 1999 for PlayStation and was truly a masterpiece. It starred Jill Valentine from the first game as she ran around the streets of an overrun Raccoon City, being constantly followed by the Nemesis, a new tyrant that was programmed to kill the remaining STARS members left in the city. The game takes place days before, during, and after Part 2, but we don't get to see Leon or Claire at all. So the game starts out with Jill jumping out of a burning building. She meets up with a guy in a warehouse who barricades himself inside of a trailer and refuses to come out. Jill then heads to the RPD, but finds Brad at a bar on the way. He was the pilot from the first game. He tells her that there's a monster in the city looking for them, and after that they are confronted by the monster, Nemesis, in the courtyard of the police station, with Nemesis killing Brad. A quick note, in RE2, since technically that happens after this, if you don't pick up any items on the way to the RPD in the beginning of the game, down the stairwell, you'll find a zombie Brad, who if you kill, drops a special key that unlocks this cabinet in this room, which is in this hallway, just for extra costumes and stuff. So, now you know. Okay, so now, here's your first choice prompt that appears. Throughout the game, especially when confronted by Nemesis, a choice will pop up and you can pick what you want to do. These choices will slightly alter the storyline of the game as you go. If you decide to fight Nemesis each time, when you down him, he'll drop a part of a special gun that is pretty powerful when it's assembled. So in the RPD, Jill finds nothing but more zombies. No lickers in this game, though. She then heads to a restaurant where she meets Carlos and is yet again confronted by this asshole. He just really doesn't take no for an answer, I guess. Carlos tells her that he's part of the UBCS, a team set up by Umbrella to aid survivors in the city. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a ploy of some sort. They have a base set up in City Hall in a train car, but they need to collect the components to get it up and moving again so they can head to the clock tower to be extracted. You spend time wandering around collecting all these items to solve puzzles to obtain more items. Jill meets Nikolai, the leader of the UBCS unit. He's kind of a douche and he's a bit shady. After you fight Nemesis again a couple times and collect the necessary pieces of the train, you head to the clock tower. But there may be a stowaway on your journey. Yup, Nemesis boards the train and tries to kill you, but Mikhail, another member of the team, jumps in front of you and blows Nemesis to hell. So there, he's dead. Alright, well that was a short game. Cool. So because of the explosion, the train derails and crashes at the clock tower. Well, at least you made it there. And help has finally arrived.
You're saved. Down here! It's finally over. Huh?
Oh, wait a minute, I spoke too soon. So after the fuckery, you fight Nemesis again and get infected, which puts you out for days. This is where Resident Evil 2 takes place. And so now you play as Carlos, and your objective is to go to the hospital and create a vaccine for Jill. After plowing through a shit ton of hunters, you bring the vaccine back to her, and she's good to go. And now you have to find another way out. And of course, here he is again. I swear, it's getting old now, bro. Just stop. So you make your way through the park and find Nikolai doing some shady shit in a cabin. You find out that he's another antagonist of the game, and that the city's about to be wiped off the map with a nuke. You try to chase him, but are cut off by a giant worm. So after the graveyard, you're visited by your old pal Nemesis, who has upgraded to a bare chest with more tentacles hanging out. Get past him to enter the Dead Factory. In the factory, you're confronted by Nikolai again, this time having a shootout and him running away. He locks the door behind him, and that appears to be the only way forward, so you'll need a keycard to get through. But where is it? You proceed through a door that leads to what looks like a trash room, and you'll never guess who's waiting in there. So after the fight, Nemesis gets dumped in what I assume is acid, and oh look, the keycard! Yippee! Take it back to the locked door, and then let's end this shit. So just when you think it's over, Nikolai shows back up and tries to gun you down in a helicopter, because plot. You can choose to let him live, but nah, fuck him. Proceed down the ladder to freedom. Down here you'll encounter a building guarded by a dead Mr. X, and then it's filled with more dead tyrants. What the hell happened in here? Right when you get your bearings, though, Nemesis is back. This time he's a mutated blob with spines and tumors. You have to connect 3 batteries that operate a special laser called a rail cannon, and then hit him one good time. After he's dead, empty a magnum into his corpse for good measure, and then head out. You're greeted by Carlos and get on a helicopter flown by... Wait a minute, is that Barry? You leave the city just as the nuke arrives, and then... the end. So this was a decent game. I mean, Nemesis was literally at every corner of the city waiting for you. It really heightened the suspense. I hope the new one's the same way. Alright guys, well, this has been Console Classics. I'll see you on the next one.